Why I hate USA-made guitars. Hey everybody, Jace Allen here. Welcome back to the channel. If you follow the channel, you know that I focus on budget guitars and gear. I think that for some of us, there is this myth that in order to sound professional or good, you need expensive name brand gear. That somehow Fender and Gibson have magic fairy dust in their guitars, and that if you just buy a USA-made guitar, you will be a rock god. Okay, so I'm exaggerating a bit, but you get the idea. Fender and Gibson have done a great job of marketing their guitars over the decades to the point that when people think of guitars, they immediately think of Fender or Gibson, even if they don't play guitar or know anything about them. But in my opinion, the gap between expensive USA-made guitars and budget foreign-made guitars gets smaller every year. That's why I make videos pitting Firefly against Fender Custom Shop. One, because it's fun, the videos get a lot of views and comments, and two, I hope to challenge the status quo. Fender and Gibson are like the Coke and Pepsi of the guitar world, but some of us like Dr. Pepper. There are options out there. That's part of a free market capitalist society. Competition, choice. Budget guitars are giving us stainless frets, roasted woods, flame maple necks, budget versions of signature guitars that normally cost into the thousands. Are they better than name brand guitars? Well, they can be. In some cases, I think they can exceed the quality of name brand guitars, or at the very least, match it. Are budget guitars the holy grail of guitars? Are they perfect in every way? Of course, no, they're not. But then again, neither are the big brands. All brands have their shortfalls. But imagine spending $200 on a Firefly, you get it and there's a small blemish in the paint or a fret that needs to be reseated or whatever. No problem, you could spend another $70 to have a tech fix it or even try the repairs yourself. No big deal, the guitar was only $200. Now imagine spending over $2,000 for a guitar, 10 times the cost of a Firefly, and that guitar also had a blemish in the paint or a bad fret. I think that would be a little harder to stomach than a quality issue on a $200 guitar. So of course, because I bring up these points and dare to make the claim that cheap foreign-made guitars are as good as Fender Custom Shop, I inevitably get pushback from viewers. They call my videos clickbait, that I'm shilling for Firefly, even though Firefly has never paid me or sent me free guitars to review, that I hate American-made guitars, that I support communism and slave labor, etc. One viewer even commented that I am a cult leader and that my subscribers are cultists and that the FBI and CIA should keep a watch on me. And they were dead serious. And this is over guitars, folks. I'm not even discussing politics or religion or whether pineapple belongs on pizza. I'm talking about a stick bolted to a slab of wood with steel strings on it. But the guitar is in no doubt a symbol of American pride. So do I hate American guitars? No. I'm not thrilled about how much they cost. Do I think the companies are price gouging and being unfair? Well, that's a gray area. Yes, the prices of Fender and Gibson guitars have kept pace with inflation, but also automation has made the manufacturing process much cheaper. But at the same time, the price of woods like ash have risen and some woods are in short supply. And of course, the companies themselves could argue that they have offered low-cost alternatives with the Epiphone and Squier brands. Yet in recent years, even the prices of some of those brands have gone up. So the argument can get a bit murky. Well, what about quality and tone? Well, again, I think American-made guitars look and sound great. After all, brands like Fender, Gibson, Rickenbacker, etc. basically invented the electric guitar that we still use today, almost unchanged from the way they looked 70 or more years ago. Can the big brands have issues with quality? Yes, of course. So Jace, why do you promote Chinese and other foreign guitars over American-made guitars? Simple. Price. It used to be that Asian-made guitars weren't very good, but think about it. Fender had been making guitars for about 20 years before Japan and other countries even entered the market. They just didn't have the same connection to Western music. But after World War II, things began to change, and Japan began to rebuild and focus on manufacturing. Now, admittedly, the first guitars coming out of Asia were pretty rough, but soon they were making guitars that were pretty good. So good, in fact, that Gibson and Fender took notice, and that's when the lawsuits started. It wouldn't be until around the early 2000s that China would really begin to disrupt the budget guitar space. And much like Japan, the first guitars coming out of China weren't the best. But eventually, with the rise of CNC manufacturing, China has become a guitar building powerhouse. And here's where things get interesting. Yes, Fender sells the Squier brand, and they can be found for around $200 or $300. but they're still made overseas, and if you spend the same amount of money on a Firefly or Harley Benton, you get a much better spec'd guitar than the Squier. Again, competition is a good thing. I bought a Grote guitar off Amazon earlier this year and it was fantastic. It was a Strat style, but had a little more modern look to it. The headstock was actually really neat looking. It had stainless frets, roasted neck, a coil split, and it was available in some really neat colors. So if I was a beginner looking for a guitar and I had the choice between the Squier and the Grote, I'd go with the Grote all day long. And I only paid $100 for it. Look, I'm never going to be a great musician. I'm never going to go out on tour or record an album in a professional studio. The guitars I buy are as much for the enjoyment of experiencing a new guitar as it is playing guitar. I'm a guitar enthusiast. If I could afford it, I'd have 2 of every guitar in a giant warehouse somewhere, but I can't. Yes, if I wanted to, I could afford to own a Fender Custom Shop or a fancy PRS, and I did. I bought a Fender Custom Shop Telecaster to review and compare to a budget guitar, but then I ended up selling it. Not because I didn't like it, it was a decent guitar, it checked a lot of boxes. Did I feel it was worth the almost $4,000 price tag? Not to me. Does that mean that I think they shouldn't be charging $4,000 for a custom shop? No. A lot of work goes into making a guitar like that. It was basically an exact replica of a 52 Telecaster, and it was done really, really well. But at the end of the day, it just didn't wow me to the point where I felt justified keeping it. So I sold it so I could buy more gear. That's another thing. I get the comment all the time, why not save your money and get a really good guitar? But I buy and sell guitars so I can make content. My obsession with guitars is what fuels this channel. And when the wall is full and I have no more room for guitars, I sell a bunch of them and start over. And I know a lot of people out there that are the same way. People comment, you should spend more time playing guitars and less time talking about them. But they don't get it. The point for me is talking about them. Playing them is almost secondary. If you're strictly a guitar player and want the absolute best sound you can get and the best playing experience you can get, then yes, save your money, shop around, go to local music stores, find one you connect with regardless of price. I'm not telling people not to buy American-made guitars or other expensive guitars. If you can afford it and you connect with it on a personal level, then do it. But don't limit yourself to only the big name brands. Another reason I tend to steer people away from really expensive guitars is that there is a point at which throwing more money at your guitar purchase won't gain you anything. If you're an intermediate player and you just noodle around in your home studio, play a couple gigs here and there, a custom shop Gibson probably won't make you sound or play any better. I know that there are musicians out there that see these guys on YouTube just shredding on a Les Paul or a PRS USA and they think to themselves, if only I had that guitar, I'd sound like them. We think about it all the time. Trust me, I know I did it for years and years, but I quickly found that no matter how much I spent on a guitar, I always sounded like me. So should you take out a loan or finance a $6,000 custom shop, road-worn, period-correct replica signature Stratocaster? Well, I personally wouldn't. If you just have $6,000 laying around and spending it is no different than an average person spending $100, then yeah, why not? Go for it. Should you save your money for 3 or 4 years to buy one? Sure, if you want and it doesn't disrupt your daily life to save up for it, go for it. But if you're really into guitars, not just playing them, but modding them, collecting them, buying and selling them, then you can't go wrong with budget brands. They really do have a lot to offer. As of August 2025, I think the entire guitar landscape is about to change. I think USA-made guitars will get even more expensive. I think budget import brands will get more expensive too. I think people's ability to buy guitars will be diminished. I also think that you may see a rise in small domestic builders building semi-affordable guitars. Who knows, maybe Fender and Gibson will start building a sub-$1,000 guitar here in the US. Time will tell. As always, I'm Jace Allen. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.